Hi, this is Alex from PHP Academy and welcome back to another PHP tutorial for the New Boston. In this video we're going to be looking at object-oriented programming, and I'm just briefly going to be explaining and demonstrating classes, properties and methods. So we're just going to be outlining a structure of a class that we're going to create. So a class is like our object. We can do things with it and we can store different things inside of it. We can also interact other objects with other objects. So for now, let's just focus on creating a class, creating some property, or creating a property and a method inside of this class. We're not going to be able to do anything with it at this point, but this should give you an insight on the skeleton outline of creating a class. So the first thing we do is use the class keyword, and we need to give our class or our object a name. So I'm going to call this bank account. And you'll see that I've created it much like a function. So I've got some parentheses in here, and I've got some curly brackets. In fact, my mistake, we don't actually need these parentheses in here. That's for the methods when we do declare our methods inside of our class. So we've created our class now. Let's go over to our browser and refresh. Obviously nothing's happened at this point because we don't have any properties or methods inside of our class, but we also don't have any output, so there's no way at the moment we're outputting everything. I'm just going to be refreshing to make sure that we don't have any errors as we go along. So now we've created our class. This class is called bank account. So we've got a class called bank account. Now inside we might want to specify some different properties inside of our class. Now properties are much like variables. We can create them either variable so that we can change things inside our class, so we can change the properties of our class, or we can create them static, so we can create a static variable that won't change. So for things like static variables, you'd want to say things like the value of pi in mathematics, or for a variable you'd want to say the balance of a bank account. So I'm going to use this example in here. We are going to create a variable, and then I'm going to tell you how we need to change this to either to change the type of the property. So let's say balance, and at the moment we'll equal it to 0. Let's say this bank account has just been opened. So balance equals 0. Now there's something we need to add in the front, and this is either a public, a protected, or a private. So we change the visibility of this variable. Now public means that this can be accessed anywhere inside of your code. Protected means it can only be accessed within your class itself, so methods can access it. And private means that it can't be accessed outside of the class whatsoever. So protected and private are somewhat similar, but we'll be going into the differences between them and why we should use them a bit later on. So for now I'm just going to create the balance as public so we can use it outside of our class just for example purposes. So now what we've done is we've successfully created our class, and we've successfully created a property within our class, and this property is called balance and it's equal to 0. So we've created an integer variable which is a property of bank account. So we have a bank account, and our balance now is 0 for this bank account. So let's say under here, we're not going to do this now, but we wanted to create a new bank account for someone. As soon as we create a new instance of this class, what we've automatically done is set the balance to 0, and the methods are going to allow us to do things like show the balance and deposit and withdraw funds. So let's go up here and let's create a new method. Now a method is structured somewhat like a function, however we also give it a public, protected or private keyword. So I'm going to create this public as well. I'm going to say public, and we create it exactly like we would do a function. So we want to say, public, and then we say function. Now we give a name to our function as we usually would with procedural PHP. So public function, and let's go for display balance. We do exactly the same with the parentheses at the end, and then our curly brackets or curly parentheses. Now in here what we can do is we can, I mean, the idea of display balance would be to display the balance of the bank account. So what we've done in this tutorial is we've looked at our overall class, so the object bank account, which we can later on reference and say, yeah, this is a new bank account, create this into a variable, and then we can start doing things with this. And we can create a few instances of this, because all we need to do is set each instance of this class bank account into a new variable, and then we can reuse the code. So you'll start to see later on how useful this can actually be. But for now, we're going to be using this bank account example, and we're going to create our method and change our balance dynamically as we call different methods inside of this class. So this is the overall structure of a basic object. We've got an object called bank account, which is a class, and we've got a balance inside, which is a property, and we've got a method called display balance. So as long as you understand these terms, later on when you learn, you'll pick up a lot quicker, because you'll understand what these methods are, what these properties are, and what a class is overall.